This is Vaida from Zen Booking, and I'm excited to introduce you to Ivan and Stefanie, who are the organizers of a very exciting Indian and adventure, a pilgrimage and a healing journey, which is going to happen this February. So, Ivan and Stefanie, I would love to hear then what inspired you to actually organize something like this.
Shall I answer that?
Yeah.
Well, actually, the idea for India Calling came back in 2016. I have been to India many times, and for yoga, for my own work, for pleasure, for holidays, and traveled around India quite a bit. And I just really wanted to find a way to show India, and particularly the places that I loved and I visited, to people from other countries that maybe have never been or have concerns about going by themselves on a trip alone. And I've built up really good friendships with the people that I've met and stayed with along the way. So that the idea came then, and then, you know, a few years went by, and how these things happen. And then it was just before the pandemic, actually, in 2020, I put the idea together in quite a concrete way. I was working with some good people locally in India. And then, of course, we were stopped from traveling for a few years. And the idea came back very strongly, beginning of 2023. The main teacher of the techniques that we share on India Calling, so the breath work, the meditation techniques, which are tools that we practice with the group that we take every single day, and then thereafter they can practice them. So the main teacher, who has this beautiful ashram in Bangalore, just outside Bangalore, we met him in London in January. And as if he knew what the idea was, he said, bring people to India and introduce them to Ayurveda. That's the Indian healing, the Indian medicine, Ayurveda. And he talked about how important that was, given the pandemic, everything we'd been through. And so the idea came back, and but with a strong focus on Ayurveda and healing, not just healing the body physically, but emotionally and energetically. And really, it's like a really beautiful cleanse. And then, as well as that, these techniques that we teach the groups.
And for me, Vaida, can I say that that it just seems over the recent decades, more and more interest has been growing in the West towards Eastern practices, and the more bonkers it gets in the West, the more we need to find ways to keep our sanity and to stay calm and measured and balanced. And I think we're looking more and more to the East as somewhere that have got things to offer that we probably haven't kind of got so good at in the West. So that's what took me, you know, I grew up in the days of the Beatles, and I saw them getting interested in India and Maharishi and yoga and meditation. So for a long time I thought, well, hey, you know, what is that about? And then I started going over there, and I think now so many people in the West are embracing those practices, yoga, meditation, breathing practices, and some want to kind of deepen their experience of it. And there's something about going to the home or the source of it, where you can perhaps get a more profound feeling about how, you know, how it actually affects our physiology and what is going on with us. And so that's really what we wanted to do, is take people who felt some kind of calling to these things and immerse them in experiences that they really get to be able to deepen it for themselves and see what really works for them. And it's not just about, the trip itself. I mean, obviously we want people to have an extraordinary trip, but we really want to have them come away with tools that they can use for the rest of their life. That's one of the things that makes it very different from just a normal sort of tourist trip. They have some very profound workshops and courses that they can attend, where if they already do these things, then they get to do them a little bit more intensely and a bit more profoundly. And if they haven't done them at all, then that's great. They get a beautiful introduction to it. And they come away with it really feeling that they've got their own personal practice now, something that's meaningful to them, something that they can tangibly feel makes a difference to them. When they do these practices, it really, I do feel that it's helping me feel calm and centered and getting some of that peace of mind that is so lacking here in the West.
And just to add that perhaps what's unique about these trips is all the different ingredients. So you don't have to be a yoga practitioner. You don't have to know a lot about Ayurveda. You don't have to already have a meditation practice. It's a gentle introduction to yoga, but it can also deepen your own practice. The yoga that because I teach yoga, Ivan guides meditation anyway in the UK. And so we just tailor it to the group, the needs of the group at the time. So it's a lovely combination, to have those three together.
Beautiful. Something about connecting with this place of India that has so much wisdom, and as you mentioned, so many of us actually are practicing yoga and meditation, but when we connect with the source, we can really deepen our own practice. So something that I'm also wondering about is this experience that you're offering is actually going to be not in one location, but actually the participants are going to be able to experience 3 different places in India. So can you tell me a bit more of where this experience is going to be located, and how are these places actually looking like?
Yeah, sure. What would you want to talk about the ashram?
Okay, yeah. So we start off the trip in Bangalore. So people fly into Bangalore, and we go to an ashram about 21 kilometers exactly outside of Bangalore, South Bangalore. And it's the ashram of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who's an Indian teacher. And so I don't know how many people have, on the last trip, no one had been to ashrams before. In fact, most of them hadn't even been to India before. But it's a very, very safe, loving, gentle experience of kind of being held in this group of people who have all one thing in common, and that's that they are interested in having some kind of spiritual journey. And so, because India can be very distracting, it can be absolutely crazy. You say it runs by divine chaos, and it does everywhere. There's something bizarre happening.
That works perfectly.
That works perfectly. Somehow it all works. But in the ashram, there's this beautiful calm feeling, and you get to just sort of gently ease yourself into it, and get a sense of, okay, so what if I'm going to meditate? What actually is it really going to do for me? You know, how can I experiment with it, or how can I experience it in a way that's really meaningful to me? So I'm not just going through the motions of things. You know, the ashram is a kind of, it's almost designed to scramble your programming in a way, so that you kind of have to let go of all your old concepts and ideas and beliefs about things, and
in a gentle way.
in a very gentle way. But you know, it's to really explore some of these things and to be able to kind of, you know, penetrate them deeply. We have to sometimes let go of our existing old beliefs and concepts about them and what they can do for us and what's possible. And the ashram's really good at kind of having you just become almost childlike again and stop being smart and grown up and trying to know everything. Because in the ashram, understanding is like the booby prize. You know, we're all about just being in the wonder of it all and the magic of it, and somehow allowing it to go deeper into us than just having a kind of logical, rational experience of things. Meditate the ashram. We start the journey there. So we start there, and we have 6 days there, which gives people an opportunity to really experience all of these different practices and traditions, pujas and ceremonies, homas, to really just kind of bathe in this Indian culture.
And it's also not just observing, it's partaking in the rituals. And we have a Ganesha is the elephant god. I'm sure many people know Ganesha. So we have a Ganesha Homa. He's very good for removing obstacles. So to really partake in it yourself and be involved in the ceremony, which is so special, you know, because then if you're being included in it, you can have a bit more of an understanding perhaps or more of a relationship to it at least. So yeah, that was the idea, to really give people an experience, not just to observe, you know, from afar.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it is incredibly experiential from the moment you arrive. And in India, as a lot of you know, you're kind of bombarded with all your normal senses are flooded with input. And so you want to find a way of experiencing beyond just the normal senses. You know, really allowing the experience there to go inside and just start that journey home, really, which is why we felt it has this sense of pilgrimage about it, that it is a coming home. You know, not in a strictly religious sense, but in the sense of we're coming back to that place that we know somewhere in ourselves we can be, where everything is just fine, everything is perfect, where we feel totally at home, and we don't have to be anybody, we don't have to do anything. You know, there's no demands on us other than just to allow our true essence and our true self to come to the surface, and that, you know, that's the most valuable thing we can have. You know, we can have all the money, all the things in the world, but if we don't have that kind of peace of mind and sense of who we truly are, then we're poor. So we've designed India Calling to be the response to that call, to be back in touch with that side of us and to have an experience of it. So we know the way back there, and that we keep going there and keep being in that sense, doing the practices there, so that when we come back to the UK, we come back with a kind of roadmap, an internal roadmap, and we go, okay, now let me connect with that again. And
that's the ashram.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the
that's the start. So they have the first week essentially in the ashram, and And that's probably, of the 3 locations, the least luxurious. The rooms are the nicest ones in the ashram. They have air conditioning and fans, but it's probably a little bit of a not quite so sort of luxurious as we go towards the end of the trip. So we leave the ashram and we go to Mysore, which is a few hours drive away. And so Mysore is the home of it's a very beautiful city. It's quite clean, but you have the old-fashioned, the colonial style buildings, and the palaces are there, temples as well. So, and we stay in a really beautiful homestay there, which is completely for us. Beautiful gardens in the homestay, and the food is exquisite. The hosting, it's family owned, and then they have a manager who runs it, and they just couldn't do enough for us. They really are amazing. And it's not in the city, it's 5 minutes outside the city, and this beautiful backdrop behind the homestay of the Chamundi Hills, and we climb up. You can climb or take the vehicle up to the temple, Chamundeshwari temple, which we visit early one morning, and we do our practices outside the temple, and we go in, we take a blessing. So that's a really special, and that's just 2 nights we have between the ashram and then on our way down to Kerala.
And just before we move on from Mysore, just to say, as Stefanie was talking about earlier on, there's a strong focus on Ayurveda throughout the trip, and that was really inspired by this teacher, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, when we met him in London. And he said he'd been to London many times, and he could feel this kind of lingering heaviness left over from the pandemic, a kind of slight debilitating energy that he didn't feel the West had much clue about how to deal with. But the Ayurveda, which is such a holistic approach to health, would be really great to have that more of that consciousness in the West. So at the ashram is where people first have probably their first encounter with Ayurveda, and they go to these beautiful, amazing Ayurvedic doctors who really give them insight into their constitution, how they're put together, what they're like, and you immediately recognize. And they can do this just from really checking your pulse and getting a sense of the rhythm of your heart.
So what we organize when they arrive at the ashram is an initial consultation with the Ayurvedic doctor, male and female, and they also have a very relaxing mama treatment on arrival, which is to help with the jet lag. But from that initial consultation, then the doctor will recommend certain treatments that would be really good to help balance. So the doshas, we have Vata, Pitta, Kapha. We're made up of all 3, and there can be an imbalance between in one of those. So they will just recommend a dosha appropriate treatment or treatments for the participants. And that is great because it means that when we go on to Mysore, next door to the homestay is a beautiful Ayurvedic retreat as well, resort. So they can go and have further treatments there, and they already know their constitution, their dosha. And then when we go on to Kerala, which is the last destination, which is right on the beach, this beautiful, pristine, white sandy, clean beach. And there aren't very many, there's no other touristy spots there. It's really, really special. Just a few little fishermen, a few groups of fishermen in the morning, in the evening. So there, they also have a follow-up consultation with the Ayurvedic doctor there, just to kind of confirm what they've already heard in the ashram. And then they have more specific treatments appropriate to their dosha. So it's a very personalized experience. It's unique to each person. It's not a general, let's all have these treatments. It's very, very specific. And then for the rest of the time in Kerala, it's really enjoying the beach, swimming in the sea, reading, relaxing, resting. nourishing yourself. The food is wonderful. It's all Ayurvedic. So we have the energies, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So that the food is all very sattvic, very calming, and very balancing. But still quite filling, isn't it? You do feel well fed. And then we do a couple of trips. We take them on a beautiful early evening boat ride down the backwaters in Kerala, and the wildlife is incredible. Everyone coming out at that time in the evening. It's a really, really special experience, that. And we also take them to, so kind of combining this, the mindfulness of pottery, of working with your hands, working with clay. There's a beautiful, again, family run, a beautiful pottery retreat, and we take them there just for the day, and we allow them to just really enjoy working with the clay, making whatever they want, and then we're treated to a really lovely home cooked lunch, and and then we head back to the beach. So we have the rest of the afternoon, the evening sunset at the beach, and then we continue. And every morning in all of these locations, so the ashram in Mysore and in Kerala, every morning we get up, and we really recommend the group all join us for yoga. So we do a yoga practice, and then we do the kriya, the breathing technique, and the meditation technique that we've learned at the ashram. So for the 16 days of the trip, we're doing these practices together, in the hope that when they get home, it's just part of their day. They wake up and they do their practice. And some of the things that people have shared from the previous trip was, when they wake up and they go and do their practices, they do their kriya, they're taken straight back to the beach in Kerala with all of the group practicing together. And it's just such a special feeling, because you know it's more than just practicing by yourself. You have that memory of practicing with the group, and it seems to have that's a number of them have continued every single day straight with no gap since the trip that they took. So yeah, and feeling great for it.
Yeah, I mean is so rewarding for us to see that that's been the outcome for these people. That's what we really wanted, and that's what the teacher wanted as well. That it kind of shifts the priority of your well-being from something you just try and fit into your busy day. You change, I'm going to fit my day around that. I'm going to make sure that every day, for even just maybe 20 minutes, I'm going to make myself, my well-being, a priority, and honor that. And so you do your practice, and it's amazing. You feel so much more whole and purposeful, having a meaningful practice that you really means something to you, and is you kind of saluting, honoring yourself, and it sets you up for the day, and it makes you somehow more resilient and more able to deal with what life kind of comes and buffers you with.
Yeah, I'd say it also it sort of helps you to prioritize, I think, because it doesn't, it's not like it takes away the number of tasks you have to do, but because both of us have been practicing this technique for a long time now, and I noticed that it just really helps you to get a bit more clarity of what I have to do, and actually what would be the best order to do it in, which then reduces the stress, because that's when we get stressed. We think, I've got so many things to do and I haven't got the time. And we've noticed that in the people that have come on the trip as well, that they seem to be calmer about the many ups and downs that we have in life. So it seems to work.
Amazing. Yeah, as you were describing these different locations, I was really visualizing them in my own head, and it really sounds incredible. And all-encompassing experience, from getting to know the local culture to deepening your own practice, and as you mentioned, coming home to yourself, really seeing that beautiful wildlife and nature, learning a lot about things like Ayurveda, and just understanding more that wisdom by actually living in a place like ashram, where like it's the practice there, right, is really deep, and it's really experiential. So I'm wondering then if let's say someone was curious or interested to participate in this experience, how would they actually know that this is something right for them?
Yeah, that's such a good question, and we wonder, because we talked to lots of people about it, and then one day we're at Bangalore and we see who gets off the plane. Now we obviously know who's coming. What I'm saying is that somehow, who's meant to be there is there, and who isn't. So if they want to know if it's right for them, they'll know when they arrive at Bangalore. It's perfect for them.
Or they'll know when they book.
Or they know when they're booked.
But I would just say that a number of people that seem to be called to either find out more about timings and dates and things like that, or called to actually book, have been people that have maybe been questioning a little bit things in their lives, whether it's the job or relationships, or how their life is going, or maybe they're at a crossroads, that they've just left one job and there's a bit of a gap before the next one's coming along, or they're even thinking, I don't want to be in an office anymore, I want to do something completely different. It's almost like it's a really good springboard, a good foundation in order to kind of come back a little bit more to yourself, to your heart, to really know what it is that you want, and not just fall into the next thing.
It is like an opportunity to, you're kind of stopping your life at that point. You're stopping how it's been, and you're entering this whole new adventure. It's like a kind of hero's journey that you go on, and you don't come back the same person who left, for sure. But what you do come back with are these amazing tools that you want to carry on doing, so that whatever you do next, you're going to have it be something that you are more likely to love and really want to do. You kind of see how important it is to have some kind of sense of purpose in our lives, that we feel that we're moving forward, that we're not here for long. It goes so quickly, and we don't really want to just end up thinking, well, I never really stepped outside of my comfort zone. I never really took those chances to experience things a bit more powerfully. I played it a bit safe. This is not playing it safe. This is really stepping a bit into the unknown, but doing it out of your commitment to having an extraordinary life. And it isn't going to happen without you, if you just sit there playing it safe. We didn't get to the moon by playing it safe. Sometimes we have to take risks. And it feels like this is a bit risky, because whatever we said to you about it, it isn't like that. We could do our best to describe it, but everyone will have their own experience. And it will be, we know, very powerful for them. And there'll be tears and deep feelings of gratitude and really heightened emotions. You can't be in India and just carry on a normal life.
It's not, it's definitely not a holiday. It's a very deep journey experience. And the other thing I was going to say was one of the people on our last trip, he had just been made redundant. He was due to be made redundant the day before the trip started, and so without knowing that much about it, he knew me from yoga. He said, I'm coming on that trip. The timing is it's too crazy not to be. I should be on that trip. So he came, and he fell in love. he met somebody, and his life has taken on a completely different vein now. And yeah, it really has been life-changing in a way that nobody could have guessed or imagined. But
yeah, what's really lovely about that story is that that they were two people who weren't looking for a relationship. In fact, the one of them was actually definitely not looking for a relationship. Had come out of not a very great one, and was wanting to just be on their own for a while, and thinking relationships aren't for me for a while, and was quite fixed in that mindset. But there's something about India that just opens you up. Whatever mindset you go there with will probably get dismantled at some point, because you go from your mind into your heart, and you have this more authentic experience of what's possible for you and what you really, really would love to do.
Without putting up the barriers, I think.
Yeah,
I think
so they let down the barriers, and they fell in love on the beach. And now they're in Sweden skiing. So yeah, it's an opportunity to be very safe but very risky, right? So you're safe with us. Everywhere we take you to, we know really well. We know the people who run it, and we know that they will be really taken care of. They'll feel made at home wherever they go. So they don't have to have any concerns other than how relaxed can I get myself to be? How much can I immerse myself in this experience?
Yeah, and just going back to the question, perhaps people who have maybe had a desire to go to India, or have heard about India but thought it's not something a country I would go to by myself, or I'd love to go to India, but what would I do? It's almost like this is a really beautifully curated trip. So we've gone and done the recce and met beautiful people that we can stay with, and built up these relationships. So we've done the hard work and curated the trip, designed it, but also with a view to really give a long-lasting effects, long-lasting benefits. So yeah, for people that maybe not sure about India, have thought they'd like to go, but wouldn't want to go by themselves, or wouldn't know what to do, and maybe would have an interest in Ayurveda or yoga or meditation, but again don't want to go by themselves, then this is this is the perfect trip.
Yeah, it really does sound like that. Right. So thank you so much, Ivan and Stefanie, for sharing about this incredible adventure. And if you're interested in checking it out, then the link will be somewhere in the description, so you can see it as well, and maybe also book it. So it's happening really soon. It's actually happening like already this February. So if you're interested, like you have to be. So yeah, but sometimes like those last minute decisions can actually be the best decisions. So if you feel called to, maybe this is really what you need right now. Right. And before we finish, is there anything that you'd like to share? Any last words?
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about it, because it is our passion and we do love it so much. And I think we've all had lots of experiences in our lives that have often been great, but we find out maybe a few weeks later that we're not now doing what we learned, or it hasn't kind of sustained itself, or we just feel hasn't really changed my life. I just had a great time, and we just so didn't want this to be another of those. We wanted this to be something that really stayed with people. So though the trip is 16 days, it actually is a lifetime. It lasts a lifetime. They'll learn things and have experiences that will grow in them and become more powerful and more meaningful and more purposeful as they go on. And we really would just love as many people as possible to meet Mother India.
and yeah, it's not so much an escape from one's existing reality. It's more a journey into the rest of your life, So because sometimes retreats can be seen as I need a break, I need to take a pause on what's going on in my life right now, but this is more a beautiful evolution into a great life. And just to add that if anyone is interested as well, there are options to do a silence course as well. So you could, if you wanted to, if you had done a lot of meditation and you felt that you were already at the next step, then we can also look at 3 or 4 days of silence as well. So that's another option.
That would be at the ashram.
Yeah.
So there's so many things there that people can choose from, and they get to feel what really calls them, what they love to do. And that's why we start the journey there. So they get to create their own personal practice that's really meaningful to them, and that they'll want to carry on doing, long after for their life.
Beautiful. I love your focus on really ensuring that people with tools and really develop their own personal practice that works for them. Right. So I think then it's time to close this interview. Thank you so much again, Stefanie, and
thank you.
Thank you
for this. And if any of you have any questions as well, there is a button somewhere in the on the website as well where you can ask the organizers too if you have any questions. So if there's something that comes up in you that you'd like to learn more about, and just feel free to ask. And otherwise, have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.